Now, Sam is back. We're going to look ahead to tomorrow's game in Madrid in a bit more detail. First of all, how much confidence should Arsenal take into the game? Not just because they won it 3-0, but because of their overall form.
Well, it's very, very rare that you see Arsenal concede 3 goals in any context whatsoever. In fact, Arsenal have not conceded 3 or more goals in their last 79 matches in all competitions. The last team to do it, Matt?
To score 3 against Arsenal. Sorry, to score 3 against them.
Last team to do
City.
it? Luton Town at Kenilworth Road.
Right.
Remember that game where Declan
4-3.
Rice? Yeah, Declan Rice headed in the last minute. Luton Town were the last team to do it. And even 2 goals is very rare, 14 out of 79 games. That's because they keep a lot of clean sheets. 31 out of 79. That's a clean sheet rate of nearly 40%. So, yeah, these are good omens for Arsenal. You don't see them conceding very many. However, Real Madrid will point at these stats and say, well, you don't play Real Madrid at the Bernabeu every week in a Champions League quarter-final. So good. And, yeah, you could expect their defence to stand firm again on tomorrow night.
Yeah. 80 is not an unlucky number, is it? I know 13 is, but 80 better not be. So. Real need to overturn a 3-goal deficit, but, that's not going to be an easy feat against this Arsenal side, is it?
Particularly this Arsenal side in the Champions League. Now, this is the best expected goals conceded record out of all the quarter-finalists. Now, Arsenal, they've only conceded 6 goals, but actually in terms of the goals they should have conceded, it's 9. It's the lowest out of any team to have played in the competition at any stage. And, it's the only team in single digits. You look at PSG's record, they went to Anfield and kept a clean sheet, but Arsenal's defence is a lot better. And actually compare it to Real Madrid, they've conceded 20 goals in the Champions League this season, but the XG says they should have conceded 21. So everyone's talking about, well, how many goals can Arsenal stop Real Madrid scoring at the Bernabeu? There is a very good argument to say that Arsenal could even go and add to this lead and score a couple more goals themselves based on these Real Madrid numbers and these slightly poor defensive records compared to the other quarter-finalists in this Champions League.
There were a couple of slight injury concerns, weren't there, heading into the game, but as we saw there with Gary, some good news.
Yeah, Thomas Partey is a big boost being out for open training today, mainly because of how well he played in that first leg. Won more balls in the middle third than any other player, so he really helped control that game for us. If you think back to that second half, how many major chances did Real Madrid have? But actually, because of Thomas Partey and Declan Rice controlling that really helped them. And, tackling, ball recovery. So he got back a lot when Arsenal were attacking and winning free kicks and scoring free kicks. When Real Madrid tried to counter, he got back more often than not. He completed passes well. And, of course, Mikel Arteta loves winning duels. So Partey being in the top 5 players for that is good. Now, the other boost was Ben White being available. Now, that's sort of a minor boost for Arsenal, mainly because of how Jurrien Timber played in that first leg as well. Because, he was up against Vinicius Jr. and he won more duels against Vinicius. And those 8 duels were more than any other player on the pitch. Second most for tackles. Again, did well in the ball recoveries as well and getting back and stopping Real Madrid on that counter-attack. But he was really good with the ball as well, and he got Arsenal up the pitch, the second most forward passes out of anyone on the pitch. This is a particular boost for Arsenal because let's say Arsenal wanted to rotate in a Miles Lewis-Skelly, for example, take him out. They could put Timber at left-back and Ben White, as we know. He's not fully fit, but he is fit enough to train and he could fit enough to play, so he can move in at right-back as well. Obviously, defence, since Arsenal lost Gabriel to injury, a lot of major concerns, but actually having White and Partey back is going to be a major boost ahead of the Bernabeu tomorrow night. Yeah,
and no Calafiori as well, isn't it? So as you say, Timber then can go to left-back if you need him to, and White can play right-back, so that is quite key. Arsenal rested players at the weekend in that 1-1 draw with Brentford, and despite Real needing a win to stay 4 points behind Barcelona in La Liga, they did as well. Was that a surprise?
A little bit as well, but at the same time, they rested Jude Bellingham and Vinicius, they've started them on the bench, and obviously Real Madrid need goals tomorrow night, so that's that's probably was their thinking behind that one. It was interesting where they rotated. They rotated the full-backs, so Valverde and David Alaba started at the Emirates.
Yeah.
They rotated them around, and actually Valverde stepped into midfield, and this is perhaps where the selection dilemmas come tonight, because obviously Arsenal dominated the midfield in that first leg at the Emirates, so it's a question of what do you do with Fede Valverde? Do you keep him in that midfield that he played at the weekend, or do you move him back to right back? But if you move him back to right back, then you have to start Luka Modric, because Eduardo Camavinga is currently suspended. He got sent off in that first leg. Tchouaméni will come in to sort of fill that gap, but again, they may have to play Modric again. And Mbappe was actually also sent off in the game against Alaves at the weekend.
Bit of an extra rest as a result, didn't
Exactly, it works both ways. At the same time, the remaining 10 players had to almost do double shift, almost. But yeah, so I think right back's a decision, left back's a decision as well. Ferland Mendy is out injured. He's going to miss that second leg.
Yeah.
They started Alaba, really struggled against Bukayo Saka, a half-fit Bukayo Saka, a lot of people felt. So do they stick with Fran Garcia, or do they do that? Lots of dilemmas for Real Madrid to sort out. Their squad isn't in a perfect situation either.
Don't want to look too far ahead, but obviously there's a big game tonight as well at Villa Park. If you're an Arsenal fan watching at home tonight, who do you want to go through in that match?
It's a really, really difficult one, because at the same time, Aston Villa would be playing their first Champions League semi-final, but at the same time, if Arsenal want to recreate some of the antics we saw at the Emirates against Real Madrid, remember the first leg is at the Emirates, then maybe PSG is the better option, because they won't play so negative, and Unai Emery Unai Emery would probably want to come up against Arsenal, so yeah, difficult one.
I think if you're an Arsenal fan, you probably want the European team, don't you? It's a European competition that can be harder playing against the Premier League side. Thank you very much.
OK, well, Arsenal are in Madrid ahead of the second leg of their Champions League quarter-final against Real Madrid. Arsenal cruised to a 3-0 victory at the Emirates. And Mikel Arteta has no plans to play defensive this time around.
To win it, the same that we did in London, our preparation has been the things that we have to do, the things that we have to dominate throughout the game in different phases to give us the best possible chance to win the game. That's clear our mindsets, and that we're going to play tomorrow. There are three main aspects in the game. Is the physical aspect, the technical and tactical aspect, and the emotional aspect. And that emotional aspect is very significant, because I have a lot of reassurance for what the team has done all season. In positive context and in very difficult context, which I think it's probably the pathway and why those things happened. So to prepare us to scenarios like this, and to be convinced that we can handle any situation, and we're going to enjoy actually playing any kind of game that we have to be thrown tomorrow.
Well, despite the commanding lead that Arsenal hold, Arteta admits that it is tough to ignore the noise surrounding a Madrid comeback. However, the Arsenal boss believes that his team can pull through if they continue to do what they've been doing.
Yeah.
How do you block out that external noise? Because the narrative here in Spain is...
Impossible. Outside, no, we can do it on the pitch. Now, I understand that is the narrative that is going to give the fuel to them.
But also, my other point was, it's over 100 games since you lost by a 3-goal margin. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that resilience that you've found in the last couple of years? And what was your message be to the team in the dressing room before you leave for the field?
That we have to do it again. I think it's over 472 days or something like this. But it doesn't matter. We have to prove it now in this context. And that's the beauty of it. That's the challenge, and that's the great thing about sports. And that we've shown that we are capable of doing it. That has to give us reassurance and confidence that we can do it. And now let's talk on the pitch and do it on the pitch. It's the only thing that matters.
Arsenal goalkeeper David Raya was an early hero in the first leg. He produced a number of saves to keep the game level before Arsenal's onslaught of goals in the second half. And he says the quality of opposition Arsenal face in the Premier League has helped him and his teammates prepare for these moments.
Luckily, I think we faced a lot of good players in the Premier League, and everybody's ready for the challenge. We know how good the attacking Madrid is, but everybody is on the toes no matter who we play. So we have to see it the same way as another game. It's another game as it could be playing against another opponent. So we just have to be focused on ourselves and just be ready for anything that can happen. The intention is to win the game. No matter what. We know how we played in the first game, and we have to do the same. We have to do the same, approach it the same way. We know we have a lead, but we come here just to win the game.
Now, unless you're pretty fluent in Spanish, then the word remontada might not mean too much to you. It's a noun which translates as comeback, and that is the word that Jude Bellingham says is being used in the Real Madrid dressing room ahead of their Champions League quarter-final second leg against Arsenal. Madrid are 3-0 down heading to the Bernabeu. Bellingham says the first leg was the worst result imaginable, but for some reason he and his teammates think it's nailed on. They can produce a stunning comeback or remontada.
I'd like to ask you about the most repeated word in the changing room during these days.
Remontada. Honestly, I've heard it about a million times since last week. I've seen a million videos online and made by fans, made by kind of you guys, I suppose, and yeah, really motivating stuff. It's a night that's made for Real Madrid, a night that would go down in history, but also be something that people are familiar with around this part of the world. So. Yeah, hopefully we can add another special night. It's a weird environment at the minute. The last few days, it's like one of the worst results we could possibly imagine away, and for some reason everyone thinks it's nailed on that we'll come back, and it's a nice feeling, I have to say. It means there's a lot of trust in the talent. It means that you're at a club that's unlike no other, the best in the world. That's what it represents and signifies to me. So yeah, there's a pressure that comes along with that for sure, and we'll want to deliver on what everyone thinks, that we can come back, and there's an expectation from Real Madrid that when we get into these kind of holes that we can come back, even if it's a really, really tough one and a really difficult one. I think probably in England it's not as common, although it has happened as well. I think Liverpool did it a couple of years back before they got to the final or something like that, or they won it. So yeah, it's just because the club have done it so many times, and that's what's so impressive about the size of this club. After the game, it's normally really tough. You have the kind of few moments after you've got to do the press. You're sitting around on your own, where you do think that it's going to be difficult, it's going to be tough, and then the more you get speaking to the other lads and you see how confident they are, the more it kind of rubs off on you. The lads that have experienced these kind of nights before, it rubs off. Like I said before, it's infectious, and it makes you a lot more confident, a lot more comfortable with the situation you're in, about the people you're going into the situation you're in. So yeah, for us it was pretty much immediate. So by the time we was back on the coach, we was all not in good spirits, obviously, but realised that we could still be in the competition.
Well, there is plenty of justification for Bellingham's confidence. Real Madrid have been the masters of comebacks in the Champions League in recent years. Last year, in their semi-final.
It is remontada or bust for reigning Champions League champions Real Madrid on Wednesday night, where Carlo Ancelotti's men must pull off the most sensational comeback against Arsenal in the second leg of their quarter-final to keep their dream of a Sweet 16 alive. The 15-time European Cup holders were slaughtered 3-0 at the Emirates in last week's first leg, but Los Blancos now have the famed Bernabeu factor on their side. As Real's shiny new toy Kylian Mbappe waits patiently for his first-ever goal from a direct free kick, Arsenal's 105M man Declan Rice offered the World Cup winner some set-piece pointers in North London, firing in two unbelievable deadball strikes in the space of 12 minutes. Even ex-Madrid left-back and free-kick icon Roberto Carlos, in attendance at the Emirates, should have been able to force a smile when Rice firstly bent an incredible effort around the wall before a postage-stamp second, which preceded emergency number 9 Mikel Merino also having his say with a brilliant first-time finish. As a euphoric Emirates crowd celebrated the most famous night in the stadium's memory, Real Madrid, who deserved nothing and got nothing in North London, lost a first leg of a Champions League European Cup knockout tie by 3 or more goals for just the 5th time in their history. Los Blancos ended up being eliminated on 4 of those previous 5 occasions, but the one outlier did come against an English side in the shape of Derby County, whom they lost 4-1 against in the first leg of the 1975-76 last 16 before a 5-1 turnaround in the second. As Manchester City and Chelsea can attest to, Champions League nights at the Bernabeu are anything but a foregone conclusion, although that 5-1 versus Derby marks just one of 2 occasions where Real have beaten an English side by at least 4 goals in the competition. The other was a 4-0 quarter-final battering of Tottenham Hotspur in 2011. However, the holders could only manage the 1 goal in the weekend's La Liga battle with Alaves, where Eduardo Camavinga struck the winner before Mbappe's sending off, but not since December 2018, against CSKA Moscow, have they failed to score at home in the Champions League. On the flip side, Real Madrid have also conceded at least 1 goal in each of their last 10 European contests at the Bernabeu, music to the ears of an Arsenal side who may not be able to solely rely on their staunch defending to finish the quarter-final job. Having defied the absences of Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Magalhaes to rip Real Madrid to shreds in the English capital, Mikel Arteta's men would be more than worthy semi-finalists, a stage they have only ever reached twice before and not since 2009. Perhaps the Gunners' only regret from the first leg was that they did not build a more commanding lead, having had 11 shots on target on the night, the joint most of any team against Real Madrid in a UCL knockout game, and they returned to their wasteful ways at the weekend. A rotated side were forced to settle for a point in a 1-1 London derby draw with Brentford, one that has Liverpool within just 2 wins of sealing the Premier League title, and Arsenal's chances could even be officially over this weekend if they suffer a surprise loss to Ipswich Town. Nevertheless, that home stalemate at least extended Arsenal's unbeaten sequence in all competitions to 9 matches, and the Gunners have found the back of the net in each of their last 8 contests, offering genuine hope of a masterful Madrid repeat. It has been 19 years since a trademark Thierry Henry solo run propelled Arsenal to a 1-0 Bernabeu win in 2006, and the North London Giants are yet to lose to Real Madrid in a competitive match, but they can afford to have that sequence snapped and still